This is Her Last Chance, a Rachel Gift Mystery Series, Book 2, written by Blake Pierce, narrated by Mary Sarah. Chapter 1. Suicide Gate had been easier to get over than he'd thought. He supposed they were a bit more difficult to navigate when the bridge reached out over the East River. But the gates here, where the Williamsburg Bridge hovered over Brooklyn, were minimal at best. Having gotten past the gates, he was now free to look down to the street, wondering if the drop would be high enough to end his life. He was pretty sure he'd read somewhere that the portion of the bridge that sat over Brooklyn was about 110 feet from the ground. That should be enough, right? He hoped so. The only reason he'd waited so long to kill himself was because he feared he'd be one of those poor saps who would somehow do it wrong. He'd put a bullet in his head, only to have it somehow not kill him, forcing him to live the rest of his life in a vegetative state. Or in this case, he'd jump to the street and break both of his legs or fracture his spine, resulting in a life of paralysis. He'd opted for the street because he felt venturing out over the East River increased his chances of surviving. Really, how hard could water be from just 130 feet up? It seemed risky to him, and he figured the hard pavement below was a sure thing. It was 2 a.m, so the darkness made the drop below him seem even farther. He'd chosen this time of the day, so no nosy assholes would see him and call the police. But now there was a small part of him that regretted it. If this was indeed his final moment on the planet, it would be nice for someone to see it. And right now the only people he could see was the couple pressed against one of the buildings down below, furiously making out and lost in their own private little world. He was going to die alone. He'd made the decision to do this, but now hated the fact that he'd be doing it with no witnesses. And why is that? It was a good question. Jesus, maybe he was being rash. Maybe he wasn't really ready to do this. Surely there was help somewhere out there. He could reach out to his mom and his wife, try to patch things up. He could find some other way out of this. Maybe. Sometimes giving up can be heroic. Sometimes it takes more courage to give up than to lower your head and forge on with something you know just isn't going to work. That voice was...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?